Wednesday morning, 8:40. October 1st is less than a week away. That's the date that a new state budget needs to be in place. The state legislature finished their work yesterday, sent it on to Governor Whitmer's desk. Joining us right now to talk about that $59 billion budget is our local state senator, Dan Lauwers. Senator, good morning.
Good morning, Paul.
Well, I hate to tell you this, but Governor Whitmer says that your budget's a mess. You probably heard that already.
Yes, I heard that. I heard that quote, that reaction. The truth is we've been working together with the governor's office most of the summer, and she's pretty familiar with the items that are in that budget. We have so many areas of agreement with the governor. Funded a number of her priorities. I don't know where the mess comment comes from. There's record road funding in there, record school funding, record funding for clean water. Like I said, a lot of her priorities are in there. So I guess the only real point of contention was the road funding. The governor wanted it all stripped out. Because I guess we agreed to take up that road funding issue at a later time, but we never understood it to mean take out all the money that we had put toward road funding. So I think we'll have to chew on that part of it a little bit. But I hope we see the governor at least sign the school aid budget here in short order and keep that part moving forward. I've got my calendar kind of blocked out right through the weekend into next week. That's what we've been asked to do, so we're prepared to meet here anytime.
Yeah, you got to hunker down because the clock is ticking. What is your sense? I mean, obviously, the governor has some points of contention, like you said, particularly with road funding. She's got her veto pen ready to go. I guess the biggest question is there going to be a state government shutdown if there's no budget in place, or will there be attempts to avoid that?
Right. Well, I think every attempt is being made to avoid that, but it's just whether the governor wants to take it there or not. I hope not. I can't imagine that she would. I mean, last time there was a government shutdown with the Granholm administration, the state was in a deficit spending situation, and there were some much harder decisions to make rather than how do you spend increasing revenues shouldn't be that hard, and that's the situation we're in today. Continue to pay that debt down, continue to increase funding for the priorities, which really we've talked about. The education and roads are some of the top ones, and the only disagreement is over a tax increase. And I tell you, I don't get a lot of support. I don't hear a lot of people begging for a tax increase. I don't hear anybody saying, let's hold up the new budget for the new year and shut the government down over a disagreement on a tax increase.
One of the ideas that had been floated at one point, Dan, was selling the Blue Water Bridge to fund roads. Is that still on the table, or is that?
No, that one. They're still. I think they're still doing some research on it. But from what they found, didn't look like it was going to return enough revenue to be worth the consideration. But there's no limit on the options that the legislature has looked at as to how to better fund our infrastructure going forward. And you could look at the Ambassador Bridge and say there's an example of a privately owned bridge that operates pretty well. So that's, I think, where that idea comes from. And the idea of tolling is actually going to be studied for Michigan. And we often hear people asking about, why don't we have toll roads? And normally the answer is, well, because we're a peninsula and we don't want to discourage travel. But there are a few roads, 69 being one of them, that people pass through pretty well in the state, and so that's actually being looked at as well.
Wow, that would be an interesting source of revenue. That would certainly that would help, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would certainly help. I of course drive that road at least 3 times a week back and forth. So yeah. I'm not looking forward to that happens. But hey, you're gonna pay for the services you use one way or another. So
Well, I guess
Everything's on
that's
the
it.
table.
We got to pay for the roads, whether it's through higher fees. When we register for our license and vehicles, or whether it's at the pump or a toll road, we're going to pay it one way or the other, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's what we're trying to. We've got an opportunity here to straighten some of that out. And what I mean by that is, people expect the money they pay at the pump to go to roads, and it doesn't. And that's where we're really trying to get that fixed first, so that every dollar you pay in taxes at the pump goes to road infrastructure, and then take it from there. Of course, the contention there is that sales tax goes largely to the school aid fund, and how are we going to replace that? But I think being honest and upfront about what taxes you're paying and where they're going. I mean, it's not like taking putting the money from gas tax makes schools less important or going to make them less funded. You have to make that a priority as well. But in reality, this budget we proposed for roads more than doubles the amount of money we're spending on roads since I started here in Lansing. It's over 100% increase, and that's the reason that there's so much construction out there, and that you really can't find another contractor willing to take on another job at this point. It took a lot of years to get in this condition. It's going to take several years to make it better.
Oh yeah, regardless of how much money is available, you're right. We need the raw materials and the workforce to do it. You can't fix everything all at once. Finally, Dan, if you had a chance to sit across the desk from the governor, who's holding her veto pen, what would you say to her on this? 5-6 days away from the October 1st deadline.
Yeah, I guess I would emphasize the fact that I can't imagine, with all the years of agreement, similar priorities and increased funding, that we would shut the government down over the fact that we haven't increased taxes, and I really hope that we find a way here, and I think everybody wants to see that. It's just a matter of how we get there. So. I hope that's what we see, and I hope it happens in short order.
All right, make sure you got plenty of coffee and pillows and whatever you need. It sounds like you're going to be camped out there for a few days.
I'm so far ahead on the coffee this morning. I tried calling the radio station an hour ago.
That was you. I wondered. I didn't get there in time. Fair enough. Dan, always appreciate your time. Good luck these next few days.
Thanks, Paul. Take care.
All right, you too. Bye now.